my early 20s coming to terms with my sexuality and being a gay man. And that was tough. It was the most alone I've ever felt, and I guess the most powerless I've ever felt. Because at that point in my life, I knew what was going on with myself, but I just felt like there was no one around me who I could speak to it about, because at that point in my life, I didn't really have any queer people in my life that were close to me. And I think because of that, I just felt this tremendous sense of alienation and this sort of lack of feeling enough or worthy.
When I think about my darkest day, I think of something that happened last summer, 2019. I was doing a training for a possible job at a cafe. Pretty simple activity. I had done it many times before. And I was at the register, just taking people's orders. But because of my visual impairment, I wasn't able to work the register, which was like an Android tablet. And I started getting flustered and realized that I don't think I can do this. I'm not able to do this.
In June of 2017, where I had like a month where I wasn't, like all my friends were gone and like not around, and I didn't have any work, I wasn't doing anything, I just kind of felt like stuck. And I was just literally waiting to get through like a day at a time. And I remember I went to like a therapist, tried to find a therapist, and like went to her and I was like, hey, like I'm super anxious and depressed, having a terrible time. And she basically told me to like, she's like, you can go to the gym. And I was like, I do that, I go to the gym.
I used to have really bad anxiety when I was in college. Like my first couple years of college, I got into a bad relationship where it was like a lot of jealousy, and my partner didn't trust me to like hang out with other boys, and it made me feel really like on edge all the time. And so that was probably my darkest time, because I felt like I was isolated from friends and I wasn't making those important like college like friendship groups.
I just thought my life was ruined because I thought there's people in this world who want me dead. There's people in this world who think I'm possessed by demons, who think that, you know, there's something wrong with my brain. And you know, just all this awful stuff. And it was just this paralyzing, like crippling existence.
I take a lot of baths. I have a spirituality. I would say a higher power does help me, mostly because it makes things not about me. When I'm having a dark day, I can kind of give it up to whatever's in the cosmos. And it's not, oh, I fucked up because I'm a shameful, slithering piece of garbage. It's, you know, it's that there's something else going on that I can't control.
I usually tend to isolate myself, which seems bad, but I don't know. I think it gives me time to really break down what's going on and how to, you know, what the actual causes are.
I have a visual disability, and it's hard to convey that visual disability might hinder me from working at a cash register, but it might not hinder me from giving solid customer service experiences.
Jumping up and down like I'm 5 years old.
Sometimes what I really need is just space to myself and a chance to understand who I am. So that's, you know, taking a bath or having some reading, or I do a lot of writing to kind of get my dark feelings out there so they're not just stuck up in my head. But sometimes, like, I've had some really dark days where I have to like just drive home and get a hug from my dad, and that's just what needs to happen.
I would say not drinking is a big one. Not drinking makes me feel very isolated and disconnected from a social life. So I know that it's really hard, and it's a really hard choice to pursue that life. But it does help me get through things, because I remember when I would drink and that was my way of getting through something, I would always feel worse. It's just like a moment of feeling like I didn't have to try so hard, or that I could just release everything, followed by an even bigger crash.
I was in such a dark place where I didn't feel like I should exist, and I decided to have myself temporarily admitted into, the hospital, and in that isolation, I don't know, I kind of started to put things into perspective, and in reaching out to people, I started to realize it wasn't nearly as much of a big deal as I thought it was.
I have some rituals that I do, and sort of like poems that I say when I'm doubting myself or when I'm feeling insecure, and I try to feel through that emotion when I'm feeling any kind of negative emotion. You can either choose fear or love, right? So instead of fixating, which I want to do, I have the choice to push through that and accept what I'm feeling, which is important, not to just repress it.
The hope of a brighter future. Knowing that if I continue to work, I will be in a different place than where I am right now.
It puts things into perspective when you realize all the things that you can do, even though there are things that you can't. And so it's times like that where you probably have to write down a list. You have to physically write down a list of things that you can do to make yourself feel better about the things that you can't do.
With my sisters, I can almost forget we are just these broken shards. Almost no